Welcome, everyone, to our next 2023 NFL prediction episode. And you see two faces in this one. Finally, Zach's been
I'm
really
back.
busy, but he's back. He's back for this one. And today we have the Denver Broncos. Zach and I agreed we're going to start breaking it up offense and defense to make it a little more, I don't know, efficient here. So I'll hand it off to you, Zach, with the Broncos. They were 5-12 last year. What are they
Mhm.
looking like offensively going into 2023?
Um, it's very interesting because on paper, they look like they should be solid. Obviously Russell Wilson, he was very good with the Seahawks and then just laid an egg last year when he threw for like 3,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, which you being a Seahawks fan for probably the past like 5 years or maybe sooner,
Yeah.
Russell Wilson really didn't throw a ton of picks, did he, in Seattle?
No, no, not at all.
Yeah, so like 11 is not terrible, but I feel like it's a lot for him. And then the 16 touchdowns is by far his career low. I'm not even looking at his career stats, and I just know that. But
Gotcha.
yeah, Russell Wilson needs to obviously improve. Obviously, there's a lot of issues with Nathaniel Hackett last year, and I think I heard today that they were last in the NFL at getting plays called in. So like on offense, like plays called on offense and plays on defense. I mean, I know there's been some drama with Sean Payton, the new Denver
Yeah,
Broncos head
yeah.
coach, calling out Nathaniel Hackett. So I think Russell Wilson will perform better this year. I don't know if he's going to be vintage Russell Wilson, but I still think Russell Wilson's a very, very good quarterback, like top half quarterback who like he's a Super Bowl champion. So he's obviously good. And then they have Javonte Williams at running back who's coming off a ACL tear. But I think I saw literally like right before we started this, I saw something that said I think he should be back and he may be playing preseason games for him or something. So that's good for him because he was pretty good. He didn't really play that much last year. 4 games, 47 carries, 204 yards. But didn't he? That was his second year, right? Didn't he play the year
Yeah,
before?
it's I was just about to say,
Or am I just like,
I thought his last year was his rookie year, but I've blended two together because he missed all of last year pretty much. Because his
yeah,
first year
because
is
he
when he
ran for
popped
like
off.
almost a thousand. Yeah, okay. I'm finding it now.
Hmm.
Uh, in 2021, he ran for 903 yards, and that was in tandem with, I believe, Melvin Gordon,
Yeah.
who, it's kind of a good segue. He's no longer with them, and their backup is Samaje Perine, who's just honestly one of the best back. One of the best backup running backs. He's
He
not
is.
nothing anything special, but you give him the ball, he could rush for a couple 100-yard games. He's super solid.
Yeah.
Um, and then the wide receiver room is low key on paper, not bad. They did have I already forgot his name. Tim Patrick,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Or not Patrick Tim.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. No, Tim's
he
got some bad luck because he missed
yeah,
all of last year, didn't he? With the
I think
Achilles
so,
or an
or most of
ACL or
last
something.
year.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, he's gone for the year with an Achilles, which I feel like is not a great injury for a wide receiver. But they do have Jerry Judy, Cortland Sutton, and they didn't have a first round pick this year because they traded to the Seahawks, but with their first pick in the draft, second round, I believe, 63rd overall, they drafted Marvin Mims out of Oklahoma, who I think's
Mm.
a speedster kind of
Hmm.
guy. So they have guys, some dudes in the wide receiver room. It's just will they perform? I know Jerry Judy, he did have almost 1,000 yards last year, 972, and Cortland Sutton had 829. But which is nice to see because Cortland Sutton was out the whole year before with, I think it was an ACL. I just assume ACL.
Hmm.
And then didn't Jerry Judy have drop issues too? I don't
I
know if
remember.
he's
Yeah, I remember that being an issue last year.
yeah. So if those guys can perform, that's huge for Russ. And then obviously, Marvin Mims hopefully performs too. And then they also have one of my top favorite receivers based on their name alone, Lil Jordan Humphreys. He played at Texas. I always thought he was really good. Um, Marquez Callaway, who I swear, I'm gonna look it up right now. I swear he was the guy with like Jameis Winston who like popped off for like a couple games in his career. I could be completely wrong. And
I
that's
think you're
oh
right
yeah,
on
I
that.
was right.
Hmm.
He played for New Orleans. I just remember he like went off a couple games on some deep balls. But yeah, that's he's this deep threat. And then also I know they have KJ Hamler, but
Hmm.
he's like stepping away because he got some like heart issue diagnosis recently.
Hmm.
So hopefully he gets better and returns.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the wide receiver room basically. Um, their tight ends, they have this guy Greg Dolchich, who he was their third leading receiver last year with 411 yards, 33 catches, 2 touchdowns. Not terrible. Uh, I never really heard of him until I looked this up. I was like, who is this guy?
Hmm.
So he's solid. I think he was drafted in 2022. I expect in his second year he should improve. And then also they have Alberto Mizzou guy who's been with them forever. And I feel like every year I'm like, he's gonna break out. He's just gonna be a backup tight end for life, it seems like.
He seems older than 25 to me. He seems late
Yeah.
20s.
Yeah, he played at Mizzou with Drew Lock. So
Hmm. That's
I guess
wild.
Drew Lock's 25. That's weird.
Yeah.
Um, then their offensive line, I really don't know how good their offensive line played. I feel like I'm Mike McGlinchey. It's like the one name I recognize on there. I feel like he's good. But I don't know, but I'll get to their team stats. So like I think they'll be last year they were pretty let me find them. They were not great offensively. They were yeah, bottom of the half in total yards. They had like 325 total yards per game. The lowest was 280 in the NFL, and the highest was 413. So they were kind of in the middle there, but like lower, like bottom of middle. Their passing they averaged 211 yards per game, which I have to imagine that's gonna go up with Sean Payton as their coach.
I don't know how it would could go. You had mentioned earlier about Russell. I don't know how he can play worse than last. Like it can
Yeah,
only go up from here, right?
I know. I think I feel like he's gonna play better. Just maybe with a lot of the pressure too of performing in a new city where last time they got a quarterback signed Peyton Manning, they just annihilated everyone. So I think he has to play better. And then the rushing attack wasn't terrible. Um, it was they were kind of middle of the pack there too, I believe. Yeah, 113 um yards per game, and then passing is um oh my god, I can't see. Everything's like so small on like ESPN, so I'm like just looking for the little horse.
That's-
Yeah, they're middle of the pack in basically both. So if they can just get that play called in maybe a little earlier, maybe that'll
yeah,
help. I don't know. But
yeah.
I expect them to be better. I feel like they just have to. Um yeah, that's my take on their offense. I think they'll perform better. I think they'll have more passing yards per game and rushing yards. I think they'll be a lot better.
Who was their main back last year? Um,
It was
because I
let me find it. I have their stats from last year. It was Latavius Murray, honestly, because I think Melvin
oh
Gordon
yeah,
also got hurt. It
that's
was
right.
Latavius led them with a 703 yards. Then it was Melvin Gordon with 318. Then Russell Wilson with 277. And then
Hmm.
it just did you know they had Marlon Mack last year for 6 games?
No, I forgot about it. He had one breakout year, didn't he?
Yeah, with the Colts, he was like had
Yeah.
over 1,000 yards, and then he just got hurt.
I don't know if you mentioned Tyler Beatty, Mizzou
Oh
guy,
yeah,
also in the running
Mizzou.
back room.
He
So
was
I don't know.
with the Chargers last year, I believe, and he
Yeah.
scored, I think, in a game. But also the real person who's back, who I forgot to mention, One of the best players in the XFL this past year,
I knew
Ben
you were going
DiNucci.
here. I
Ben
knew you were going
DiNucci.
there. I just saw his name and then you started talking and I was like, he's totally
I
going
think
there.
there must be a something wrong. Like ESPN must have put it down because there's no way he should be the third string. He should be second string for sure.
over Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think they have the potential to pop off. I told you just off air right before we started that I wasn't super high on their wide receivers, but if Sutton and Jerry Judy pop off, then it kind of changes everything.
And this
With
Kendall Hinton guy, who's
yeah,
like they have a bunch of like backups who like to me aren't terrible.
yeah,
Like this
yeah,
Hinton
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
he had 311 yards last year. Like it's not amazing, but like he at least can catch the ball.
Didn't Kendall Hinton like play quarterback at the very end of the year?
Was that the guy who played quarterback?
I think that was him. I don't know why
It
I
could have
remember
been.
that.
I don't know why I'm looking at his face right now, and it's let's see if I look at his full stats if he has. Oh
Hmm.
yeah. I think it
It
was
was
him.
him. Hmm.
Wait. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that was him. He had one game, one completion, 9 attempts, 13 yards, two
Oh
interceptions.
gosh.
Nice.
Yeah, that pretty much summed up the entire
The NFL is
Broncos
hard.
season last year. It is. It is. Defensively, they were 14th in football last year. But looking at some names here defensively, I don't know why they won't improve on this end as well. And their defense was known as like one of the
Yeah.
stalmarks
I feel like
last
their
year, but
offense being terrible probably didn't help their defense because they're on
that's
the
what I was
field
gonna
a
say.
lot.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Linebacker wise, Frank Clark and Randy Gregory, they're both 30 years old now, but they're still obviously can get it done. Pat Surtain is a top probably three cornerback. Some people think he's the best in
A
football.
lot of people were saying like him, Jalen Ramsey, and Sauce are like
And
the top corners.
Alexander too, Jair Alexander's got to be up there
Yeah,
for the Packers.
there's a lot of good
And then
corners now that you think about
there
start
is
talking
no
about it.
they drafted Riley Moss, a cornerback in the third round from Iowa. I read a bunch of things on him. Apparently, he's got a bunch of upside going into this
Hmm.
year. Obviously, Iowa's defense in college football, you know better than me, but it was good, really good last
Like they
year. They just
did
had
win a
no
game
offense.
5-3 this past year where they got a safety to win. So,
That should tell you enough right there.
ooh,
Um,
sorry. I just
what were
saw
you
that
gonna say?
their place kicker is Brett Maher. So I'm
Oh.
sorry, Denver.
Safety wise, all pro Justin Simmons, obviously a well known name there. And that's three levels of the defense there. The one level, or I guess two levels technically, but the defensive line is what I'm kind of looking at where I'm like, I don't know where they're going to get a lot of success here.
Hmm.
Looking
Didn't
at some
Frank Clark
names,
just come from the Chiefs?
yeah, and they listed him as a linebacker. I I guess technically he would fit in that defensive line.
Yeah.
Um,
He's
but
a
Zach,
DN because he has like the most sacks in postseason history almost or something.
okay,
Something weird.
okay, that helps then, because I was gonna say they're only the guy on their team with the most sacks from last year is Zach Allen, with 5.5, and you're gonna need a little more
Hmm.
production from there. But like
Yeah,
you said, Frank Clark
I
playing
would
there will
agree.
help a
I
lot.
know Randy Gregory can get a lot of sacks. He did in Dallas, but
Mm-hmm.
he's always hurt or smoking weed, so who knows?
Yeah, it's very true. Um, but we can kind of go into their schedule here. I mentioned they were 5-12 last year. They start the season at home versus the Raiders. No, before we start this, I have to say you and I were like hyped up just like everybody else for this division last year, and then it
Yeah,
just kind of flopped,
it was
obviously.
terrible. Yeah.
So I'm that's why I mentioned off air. I'm very interested because we have the Raiders for our next episode here, and I'm kind of interested because these are two teams that definitely underperformed
Yeah,
last
this
year.
I
But
was looking at the Raiders going into this and now thinking of the Broncos, they're interesting, but I'm gonna say Broncos win the first game.
I agree. I agree. At home, I feel like you have to get off on a good start.
Yeah.
Week 2, they have the Commanders at home.
I low key feel like the Commanders are gonna be could be good depending on how Sam Howell
Mhm.
plays, but I'm gonna go Broncos because I think it's a little early for Sam Howell and it's a away game.
Exactly. No, I agree completely. I have them 2-0 to start the year. And then I have a very bad stretch coming up here for the Broncos. They got the Miami Dolphins on the road in week 3, and I have them losing this one.
That's a loss. That's going to be a very hot game.
Yes, yes. I have them losing week 4 at the Bears as well.
They're going to beat the Bears.
See, I had to go back because I had them winning this at first, but I went back to our Bears episode and I found that I had them losing at the Bears. So I was
Oh,
like,
really?
the Bears winning. So I was like, yeah, I have to
I
go with
have
that.
no, I don't remember what I chose the last
I know.
episode. So I
It's been a
just
while.
free
It's been a
ball.
while.
It's like
Um,
last year I had the Seahawks lose like every game
yeah.
whenever a team faced them, just honestly just to make you mad.
I
And
know.
and I'm like, should I just make them 0-16?
They have the Jets in the next one. I have them losing that one as well.
That's a loss.
Jets are a very interesting team because part of me thinks, and I looked at our teams coming up here, and they're coming up. I think we have the Titans and the Jets coming after the
Mhm.
Raiders. Um, but they have so much hype around them. I wonder if they're gonna. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I wonder if they're gonna live up to the hype. I know all the Dalvin Cook news, also that he's potentially going there. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
that'd be a great pickup for them.
Back to the Broncos though. Their next game is at the Chiefs. I have them losing this one.
Yeah, that's a loss, unfortunately.
Then they come back home to play the Packers. And a little spoiler before we get to the Packers a couple weeks from now, I don't think they're going to be very good at all this year.
You don't think so? I was listening to
No.
some podcasts and apparently their defense is supposed to be like solid.
Hmm.
And there's been all these like reports that Jordan Love's been playing good, but I'm like, I had to see something first.
Exactly. Exactly. You got the Broncos in this one over the
Yeah, I'll go
Packers.
Broncos.
And then they play another home game versus the Chiefs in this one. And I have them actually winning this one. I have them splitting with the Chiefs this year.
Um, I'm considering it. I feel like the AFC West, they always split, it seems like, but
Exactly.
Chiefs are gonna beat them, I feel like.
They go on the road to play the Buffalo Bills. I have them losing this one.
Yeah, that's a loss.
They come back home for two. The first one versus the Vikings. I have them winning this one, and I have them winning because I'm using your mindset and your way of thinking. Do you see
Is
what
it
time
prime
that
time?
game is? Yeah.
Okay. Did you watch the quarterback series?
No, I saw a bunch of good reviews about it, but I
It's
didn't
very
end up
good.
watching it.
And I really like Kirk Cousins now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I see a lot
he
of
like
people
was
saying that.
talking, they like asked him about it, and he was kind of talking about his stats in prime time. And when you actually look at his stats aren't that bad in prime time.
Really?
Yeah, they're just like normal.
Hmm. I'm still going with the Broncos.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Then they play the Browns at home, and I had this as a loss at first, but I have them winning this one versus Cleveland.
I'm gonna have a loss. I think Deshaun's gonna have a really good
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Then they go on the road to play the Texans. I have them winning this one.
Yeah, I've been winning that as well.
They stay on the road at the Chargers. I have them losing this one as well.
Yeah, I have them losing that.
On the road at the Lions, I'm taking an L there. The Lions are very exciting this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna have them lose there too. I like the Lions.
They come back home for two. The first one versus the Patriots. I have them winning this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have them win that too.
And then they stay at home versus the Chargers. I have them losing this one. So I have them losing both games versus the Chargers this year.
I'm gonna have them beat the Chargers. It just feels like a late year where it's like the Chargers win this game, they're automatically in the playoffs. The Chargers are gonna
Mhm.
lose, and then they're gonna have to win in week 18.
That's yeah, I could see that happening. And then the last week of the year at the Raiders, I have them losing this one.
I had them beat the Raiders at the beginning, so I'm gonna have them lose this time.
Okay.
So I had have 8 wins, so 8-9,
So do I.
which I yeah, I could see a lot of teams in this division except the Chiefs have around 8-9 or worse.
Exactly. No, I had them at 7-10, and that's when I switched the Browns game. I had them winning that because you were talking about the offense, and I was like 7-10 seems too low. So I went with eight and
Yeah.
nine. Obviously improvement from 5-12. That's not a playoff team. So I don't know.
If they could win like quite a few games if their offense just clicks because their defense
Yes.
is so good.
Yes.
So
No,
it's
I
a
agree.
very interesting team. like a team that could be easily in the playoffs. Probably not going to win the
Mhm.
division, but it's just weird. The AFC is
Very odd.
just
It's
so
very,
many good
very odd.
teams.
But that wraps up our Denver Broncos episode. We had the Rams before this, so go check that out. And then we have the Raiders after this. So be on the lookout for that. But thanks for listening, and we will see you guys for the Raiders.
See you guys.